It's almost here. June is cracking open, and these final 5 days aren't just important, they're irreversible. And once they pass, nothing goes back to how it was. These last 5 days of June aren't just dates, they're pressure points. Everything feels a little off right now, and not in a bad way. Time feels too thick, words hang heavier, and underneath all of it, something is pushing through. It's not in your head. This is the part of the year where your internal flame, your instinct, your raw, unfiltered presence doesn't just wake up, it gets summoned. Not softly, but like a signal, and it's being picked up by everything. Your breath, your thoughts, your sleep, your spine. You might feel like something's crawling just under the surface of your life. Something pressing, invisible, not quite explainable. Because by the 30th, this flame either consumes or purifies. And it starts today. Oh, and if something oddly timed or just too specific happened lately, feel free to drop it below. You might not be the only one it was meant for. And also, there's a major opportunity headed your way. But if you don't know how to recognize it, you will miss it. I'll show you what to look for in a moment. But first, there's something else you need to know. Something no one is talking about. Silence just became more powerful than noise. You'll notice it. In fact, you might already be feeling it. The people who used to dominate every room with noise, ego, endless explanations, they're fading. And fast. These final days of June are slicing straight through that old model. Now, it's the quiet ones, the still ones, the ones who hold energy without trying to throw it. They're the ones starting to take up space without saying a word. This isn't about status. This is energetic gravity. You'll see it in real time. Watch how others begin turning their attention toward people they can't explain, but feel pulled toward. It's happening. And once July hits, the shift will be irreversible. You'll want to be on the right side of that shift. There's a moment right before everything changes when your system doesn't shut down, it opens. Not with panic, not with resistance, but with this strange, uncontrollable urge to laugh. And it makes no logical sense. You're standing in the middle of uncertainty. Things around you feel like they're on edge. People are acting out. Timing is strange. And yet, something in you clicks. And you laugh. Not because you're amused. Not because you've lost it. Because your spirit finally realizes it's indestructible. This laughter isn't from joy or madness. It's from the realization that nothing owns you. It's the fire. The one that's been building all month, quietly underneath your skin. Now it's awake. And it's not afraid. Fire doesn't mourn the collapsing tower. It dances through it. It rises through it. It's not interested in fixing what was. It's interested in becoming what is. So if you catch yourself laughing during a moment that should feel overwhelming, that's not dysfunction. That's recognition. It means the old fear can't hook into you anymore. It means the storm isn't bigger than you. It's just louder, and you've stopped listening. Power doesn't scream. It smiles. Watch for it. It might be small, a bizarre rule, an unexpected cancellation, a flat-out no that shows up just when momentum was building. Maybe even a sudden emotion or voice telling you to pull back, hold off, stay safe. It's not random. That's the friction. That's the pressure trying to keep the lid on your flame. That's the test of the final flame. And right now, that pressure might feel real, like the universe is trying to hold you in place. But what you're actually experiencing is a reaction to your energy shifting. The more alive your spirit becomes, the more the old structures around you will try to stabilize themselves by shrinking you back down. But that's not a sign to stop. That's confirmation to expand. Anything trying to contain you now isn't the villain. It's just outdated scaffolding reacting to something it can't measure. And here's the truth. Fire doesn't break out of walls. It burns through their meaning. So let the weird delay happen. Let the rules show up. Let the obstacle appear. But don't obey the old logic. Because the real test isn't whether you break through it. It's whether you outgrow it without flinching. Your expansion doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It just arrives. You might start noticing it tonight, or maybe you already have. That feeling like you should be exhausted, but your body's buzzing. Not like caffeine, not like anxiety. It's deeper than that, like something ancient underneath your skin has been stirred and doesn't want to settle. This isn't typical restlessness. This isn't your mind keeping you awake. This is your energy refusing to lie down. Sometimes you can't sleep because your soul isn't done speaking. Between the 26th and 30th, sleep may begin to feel ceremonial, not restful, alive. Like you're not going to sleep to escape the world, but to enter a different one, and it's louder than usual. Dreams may become intense, symbolic, messy, or beautiful. Or maybe you won't dream at all. Maybe you'll just wake up over and over with the eerie sense that something was just here. And here's the twist. It's not because something's wrong. It's because something's ready. The flame inside you doesn't want containment. And at night, when the distractions fall away, it starts to rise. It hums. It stretches. It looks for somewhere to move. And if you've been holding back, if you've been containing your voice, your ideas, your intuition, then the fire doesn't disappear. It shows up as friction in the body. You might feel like you're overheating when you lie down. You might get flashes of clarity between 2 and 4 a.m. You might even start crying for no reason, or laughing at something that isn't funny. It's not random. You may not be dreaming, you may be listening. This is a time when the veil around silence is thinner. And the nights between now and the 30th, they're not passive. They're invitations, not from the stars, but from you. The deepest, most untamed version of yourself, the one that doesn't follow clocks or rules, wants space. And it doesn't wait for morning. So if you're not sleeping well right now, don't panic. Don't blame your habits. Don't think you're broken. It means your body is remembering what it feels like to hold light. Let it rise. Here's what no one tells you about spiritual opportunities. They almost never arrive looking like choices. They arrive like interruptions, a conversation you weren't supposed to overhear, a phrase someone random says that sticks in your head for no reason, a passing idea that feels weird but charged. This week, these final 5 days of June, you will be surrounded by doorways. But they won't look like doors. They won't come with signs. They won't make announcements. They'll come like glitches in your routine. Like odd magnetic pulls toward people, places, or thoughts that weren't part of the plan. Don't wait for the door to open. Walk where it's warm. Some of you will feel like you're supposed to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years. Some will suddenly be drawn to a topic or a project or even a color. Yes, a color that you can't stop thinking about. And the logical part of your brain will try to dismiss it. But this isn't logic's realm. This is the terrain of fire. And fire doesn't request permission. It moves. What's key now is your ability to recognize the frequency, not the form. Because the flame doesn't show up in straight lines. It doesn't hold a sign that says, opportunity. It holds a pull, a spark. If you ignore it, you might feel like nothing's happening, that it was just a regular week. But if you follow it, if you trust the little things, the strange nudges, the out-of-place encounters, you'll realize you were walking through invisible doors the entire time. Real guidance doesn't push. It pulls and waits to see if you're brave enough to follow. There's a kind of pressure in the air that doesn't make sense on paper. The days are longer, yes, but it's not just daylight. It's a thick, heavy saturation. It's like the sun isn't just shining, it's watching. Like it's turned into something that's no longer offering clarity, but masking it with too much intensity. This isn't a season of obvious answers. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The more you look for clear signs, the more disoriented you might feel. This is not a mistake. It's how fire works when it reaches its peak. When something burns too brightly, it doesn't reveal what's beneath, it blinds you from it. That's what these final days of June are doing. They're flooding the senses, overwhelming your usual channels of perception so that you're forced to engage with something else entirely. Instinct. These are not days to figure things out. These are days to feel your way through. Fire doesn't clarify. It strips away the need for clarity. If you're finding that your plans suddenly feel vague or your certainty about something has started to dissolve, don't panic. That's not confusion. That's transformation. The clarity you had wasn't the full picture. It was a placeholder. This kind of solar energy is meant to break apart old certainties so that something more honest can surface. And right now, that something isn't being handed to you in words or visions. It's being pulled from your gut, your breath, your ability to move without knowing. Everything in you is being asked to trust the path, even if you can't see 2 steps ahead. That's not weakness. That's the exact kind of resilience this energy is trying to awaken. Not the kind of resilience that plans, the kind that burns but never collapses. And if you feel like everything around you is too loud, too fast, or just plain too much, that's your sign that the outer world has reached maximum volume. Now it's time to listen to the quietest voice, the one inside that doesn't use words. The sun is hiding secrets not to keep you out, but to pull you deeper into yourself. And what you find there isn't a message, it's a flame. Not for understanding, but for moving forward anyway. You don't need a map when your footsteps are already aligned with the fire. There's something peculiar happening with communication right now. It's not just about telling the truth or hiding things, it's about how words feel the moment they leave your mouth. Even the smallest untruth, the most casual deflection, suddenly starts to feel like it drags behind you. You might notice your body rejecting certain phrases you used to say without thinking. You might stop mid-sentence and feel this internal tug, like something inside is saying, "That's not quite it." These days are soaked in fire energy, and fire doesn't tolerate the unnecessary. It doesn't destroy lies for moral reasons, it burns them because they're heavy, and fire only wants to rise. That's why even white lies or avoidance will start to feel dense. They won't carry. They'll fall flat in the air, or worse, echo back at you in ways you didn't expect. You'll feel it in your body before you even realize you've said something unaligned. Your words aren't just being heard, they're being measured by your own energy. This is especially true in moments where you want to stay quiet, but something in you is begging to speak. The discomfort in silence will grow louder, not because someone else needs to hear the truth, but because you do. You'll feel itchy in conversations where you're pretending. You'll feel tired around people who expect a version of you that doesn't fit anymore. You'll notice that holding back doesn't protect you now, it drains you. These final days of June aren't just about energetic shifts. They're about alignment between thought speech, and presence. If your words don't reflect your internal fire, you'll feel it. You'll notice tension, confusion, or even sudden exhaustion after saying things that aren't truly yours. That's not coincidence. That's resonance correcting itself. And here's the powerful part. When you do speak from alignment, everything opens. The words hit differently. People listen differently. The conversations shift. It's not because you're being louder, it's because you're finally being real. And fire has always respected authenticity. These are not days for perfect words, they're days for true ones. So if your voice shakes, let it. If the truth is messy, say it anyway. If you need silence to realign first, take it. Because anything spoken in truth right now carries 10 times more weight than anything said to simply maintain comfort. And in this kind of energy, it's your truth, not your image, that will carry you forward. What you're feeling in your body right now, especially in your chest, hands, head, it's not just heat from the season. And no, it's not just stress or caffeine or some vague restlessness. It's something older than language, something your body recognizes before your mind catches up. We've always called it passion, inspiration, or even anxiety. But in these last days of June, it's none of those things exactly. This is the spiritual fire itself, and it's not a concept. It's a sensation. You might notice your heart racing without reason, a flush in your cheeks, a heat in your palms, a strange pulse in your neck when you're just sitting still. Some people will think they're too wound up, others will say they're overstimulated. But what's actually happening is that the flame that lives in you, your raw, creative, life-sculpting energy, is getting too strong to ignore. The veil between your spirit and your body is paper-thin right now, and the energy is starting to leak through, not as thoughts or visions, but as temperature. And here's where it gets important. Most people are going to try to suppress this. They'll try to drink water, take deep breaths, take a walk, do all the usual things to calm down. But this isn't something to calm down. This is something to honor. This is a call to move. The fire doesn't show up because you're out of balance. It shows up because your balance has outgrown its old shape. When this energy rises and you try to contain it, it has nowhere to go. That's when it turns inward. It scorches your focus, it overheats your thoughts, it simmers under your skin. But when you let it out, through expression, through voice, through action, it transforms completely. It becomes creation. It becomes momentum. It becomes vision. That's why the question to ask yourself right now isn't, how do I calm down? It's, what is this energy asking me to create? What conversation, what project, what shift, what movement is trying to happen through you right now? Fire is only dangerous when you mistake it for a problem. When you recognize it as a messenger, it becomes your greatest ally. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to wait until you understand it. You just have to stop standing in its way. Because once this fire finds its channel, once it has direction, it's unstoppable. And for many of you, these last 5 days of June are going to be the turning point. Not because something dramatic happens outside you, but because you finally stop dimming what's been building inside. Have you noticed it? The split-second moments where, without thinking, you do something bold, something you've hesitated on for weeks, maybe months. You send the message. You say the truth. You walk into something new without a plan. And it doesn't feel reckless, it feels right. That's not an accident. That's not just a mood. That's the spiritual flame cracking the surface and taking control of your actions before your fear can veto them. This isn't impulsivity, even if it looks like it. It's instinct with the volume turned all the way up. These final days of June are wired to amplify this kind of energy. Not the kind that makes noise for attention, but the kind that moves you before the ego can catch up. It's subtle, it's fast, and it's powerful because it bypasses logic and taps into alignment. You might surprise yourself with what you're suddenly capable of. Some of you will wake up one morning and feel a sharp pull toward a decision that's been hovering for years. Others might say something out loud they never intended to, but somehow it lands exactly the way it was meant to. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being real in a way you've been trained to postpone. True bravery doesn't ask for approval. It acts because it's already in rhythm with truth. What you'll notice is that this fire doesn't come with drama. It doesn't announce itself. It just acts. And what's wild is how quickly people respond. Because courage, when it's authentic, creates a ripple effect. People feel it. It unlocks rooms. It changes dynamics. And most importantly, it changes your own posture in the world. You don't need a 5-step plan. You don't need to ask 5 people if it's the right move. The kind of bravery rising now doesn't need validation. It needs a moment, and you have 5 days filled with them. The spiritual climate is primed. The pressure is right. And the energy is already inside you, just waiting for a door to crack open so it can flood through. That moment when you feel your heartbeat rise and your hands shake just before you act, that's the signal. That's the moment to go. Because if it comes from fire, it won't lead you to chaos. It'll lead you to clarity you didn't know you were ready for. Don't try to schedule it. Don't wait until it's convenient. The bravery showing up now is a one-shot thing. If it arrives, move with it, because that might be the moment your whole next chapter starts to breathe. This was never about destruction. The ancient prophecy, the whispers of something stirring under the surface, none of it pointed to an ending. It was always pointing to an ignition, not a collapse of worlds, but the return of a force long buried in the center of your being. The prophecy wasn't about the end of the world. It was about the end of dormancy. And you felt it in the pressure in your chest, in the heat behind your thoughts, in the way your words have been trying to escape you even before you formed them. These past days haven't just been emotionally intense, they've been initiatory. You are not who you were at the start of June. There's been a tearing, a splitting, a parting of the old layers, and what's been left exposed isn't weakness. It's core essence. It's that version of you that always existed under the polite silence, the second-guessing, the deflections, the dimming down to make others comfortable. That version is now stepping forward, not in theory, not in metaphor, but in how you speak, walk, act, choose, and exist. You're not meant to find your voice. You're meant to remember it. By the 30th, something within you will settle, not in stillness, but in conviction. There will be a sense that something has clicked into place, not because everything's resolved or clear, but because the part of you that used to wait, to ask for signs, to apologize for needing, to make room for everyone but yourself, that part will no longer be in charge. There will be a boundary that doesn't need to be spoken. There will be an energy behind your presence that doesn't shout, but reshapes a room. Just feel what's now standing at the center of your being. Calm, untamed, and utterly unwilling to shrink again. You're not ending something, you're beginning with fire in your bones. And this time, it's permanent. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.